Hey there, Lewis. Good job on finding this, first of all. It's been about 20 years since we've made this. Now, in case you forgot who this might come as a shocker to you, but I'm you. From the past. And I'm hoping that rings a couple bells, because this is our presentation for that University Foundations class we took all the way back in 2016. In case you forgot we made this in the first place, let me remind you. The assignment was to create a message for ourselves. Ergo, I am creating this message for you to listen to 20 years from now, which is for you now. And what I'm going to remind you about is the 4 virtues we learned in Universal Foundations. And what better way to remind you than using something that I'm hoping that you still love: superheroes. The first virtue I'm going to talk about is career virtues. Career virtues refer to things that we have learned that will help us in our career. Captain Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, would never have gotten as far as he did working with both S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers without the training he received from boot camp, as well as leading the Helen Commandos during World War II, even with the superhero serum in his body. That being said, how would you assess yourself in these last 20 years since we've created this? Have you applied all the communication skills that we developed not only in these Universal Foundation classes, but also working in all the kitchens as well, into your work area, which I would only assume would involve us working together as a team? And would there be anything else that we've learned since now that you could have been able to apply to your job to make you more successful? Now on to the second virtue, identity virtues. Identity virtues are markers that we use to basically identify ourselves. Some are well known by others, and others are hidden only for us to know. Using Batman as an example, everyone knows that he's a vigilante. But there are few people who actually know that he's Bruce Wayne, someone who has come from a tragic past. Let's not waste too much time here. You and I both know what our identities are. We know who we are, what we are, how we choose to identify ourselves. I just want you to think about how you've changed in these last 20 years that differ from me now. Now on the character virtues. Character virtues are how we let events from our past define us as people. After his 5 years stranded on an island, Oliver Queen would come back and become something different. He would stop being some billionaire playboy and actually become a force for good as the Green Arrow. Now here's another one we don't need to spend too much time on. With our past, our history, we've learned to mold the tragic events in our lives to shape us into better people, physically, mentally, psychologically. I just want you to think about some events that could happen between here and then, and think about how they've changed you compared to who I am now. Our last virtue is learning virtues. The idea of learning virtues is to, instead of being a student, be a learner. As a learner, we are more willing to not only acknowledge, but utilize knowledge that we obtain. Tony Stark, as Iron Man, uses what he's learned throughout his entire life to overcome his opponents, as well as using his personal experiences to create new suits to overcome any other opponent chance. Now, I've become more of a learner this last semester, but will I continue to be that kind of person? Will I continue to be a learner, or will I fall back to being a student? That's really up to you to think about. How do you view learning now? And how do you apply it? Now let's wrap this up. Career virtues, identity virtues, character virtues, and learner virtues. Even though we use one example for each one of these heroes needed all these virtues in order to become the great characters that they are today. How would you say all of these virtues have shaped the person you have become in these last 20 years since we've made this? Hopefully you're like Bucky here and you found the right path. Thanks for listening.